From Accord, this is From Vendorship to Partnership, a show where we dive into the realities of scaling startups. This season, Accord's CEO, Ross Rich, chats with the next generation of startup founders about the ups and downs of signing their first customers while building a repeatable, collaborative sales process.
Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Founder's Journey. We are lucky enough to be joined by Tyler of ZenHub, CEO and multi-time founder, advisor, a million different things at early stage companies. So really grateful to have him on today. Tyler, do you mind kicking off with a quick intro, then we could dive right into the questions?
Yeah. Thanks for having me. My name is Tyler Gaffney. I'm the CEO of ZenHub, like we just discussed. Prior to that, I ran a consultancy helping early stage businesses figure out go-to-market, right? So I think this will be probably a very relevant conversation. And then really got my start in Silicon Valley by joining WePay very early on. Took that 0 to 50 million in revenue, and then we ultimately sold that to JP Morgan Chase. So been in and around startups for probably the last 12 years or so, and I'm addicted. So I love it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think there'll be a ton of learnings, not just from ZenHub, but across the number of companies that you've seen,
Absolutely.
the breadth of companies. So excited to dive in here. But to start with the question we always kick off with, would love to hear your story. How did you decide to join ZenHub? And curious to hear how you made that jump after seeing so many startups. Why was ZenHub the one that you wanted to get involved with?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like I said, I had this consultancy and I was living my best life. Right, like I get to work with all these great founders, all these venture-backed businesses, a ton of variety, and I said, you know what, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. And so, of course, whenever you say something like that, things change. But one of my clients at the time was this company called Axiom Zen, which actually started ZenHub, based up in Vancouver. They're also the founder or the creators of Dapper Labs and CryptoKitties and NBA Top Shot. And so they had started ZenHub as an internal tool that they were using. And they said, we opened it up and we got some customers. And I was like, well, let me take a look at those customers. And I was like, guys, these are amazing customers. Like, how did these, you could build a whole company on this? They're like, we don't, we're trying to figure out where we want to go next. And I was just amazed by the organic traction, the customer names, the growth that was happening. And so I got closer to the business. And over a period of time, with some leadership changes, Roham, who's the CEO of Axiom Zen, said, hey, would you be interested in joining full time and running this? And of course, there was a lot of thinking that went into it, but ultimately, because of the team and the space and how big the market was, ultimately decided to join. And that was about 3 years ago. So it's been a journey for sure. Nothing has been super easy, but I think we're starting to get to a place where we're feeling very comfortable about the future.
Awesome. Well, it's cool. I think that's like kind of the best way to join a company in the early days is, organically, hey, this is really interesting, and getting to know the team instead of, the classic kind of like hire, jump in, see what it's actually like after. So
100%. I think like that's I guess one of the secrets of consulting is that you get the inside look of everything. And really for me, it came down to kind of like team and markets. And, because you can hire great people in order to improve your product and go to market, but do you really like that founding team, and do you really believe it's a large enough market? And I think we're in probably one of the biggest markets that there is. So
totally. And that's the great transition to the next question, which I think you're going to have a really unique perspective and thoughts on, is around product market fit. So we usually ask people, okay, when and how did you know you had product market fit? But I think one thing that's really interesting is, you saw this initial traction, then you came in and probably had this unique perspective, which I think a lot of people don't have that opportunity, right? The founding team, you need to be like really sure of yourselves, and this is like where we're going to go first. But you actually had the opportunity to have a different perspective and come in and see that. So I'm curious to hear how you approached kind of the product market fit at ZenHub.
Yeah. I think I definitely had a different view because when I came in, there was already about 1,000 customers of all different sizes. From the smallest startup to some pretty large customers. Mm-hmm. And so anything you read online, yes, you have product market fit. And I think there was some really strong organic growth that was happening. Inbounds coming in, but certain parts of the business were starting to slow. And I think that we needed to take a step back and kind of ask the tough questions again, which is a little bit of a tough conversation with initial founders and whatnot, because people are saying, well, we're going to figure this out. And what
Yeah, we're past this point. Yeah.
exactly. Well, but what I'm alluding to is that like product market fit is an ever changing, evolving thing. You can have it one day, but the market changes and it might be gone or slightly different. And I think that's what we ran into. In the earliest days, ZenHub was very focused on just like some add-ons on GitHub, right? Think of it as like a plugin on GitHub, and then the product had evolved, but also GitHub's platform had evolved, and the popularity of GitHub's platform had evolved. And so that started to change. And so the product needed to evolve in order to find that product market fit. I think like, as far as how did we know, I take a look at like core metrics of the business, right? There's like overall organic inbound, what's our churn rate looking like? And then we do survey our customers too. That 40% rule is very useful. And we went through multiple times different surveys, and we started to see some level of dropping, I wouldn't be as disappointed. And so you're like, okay, something's shifting.
Yeah.
What are we going to do to adapt? And I think like we've figured out several things there, but it's still a journey, right? Because like going from, 1 to 5 to 10, like it's going to change over that and beyond. And so that's, I think, my one biggest learning is like, I don't know, in some of the earliest startups I've worked with, you kind of think like they've got it. It's like they've got product market fit. It's going to be easy going on from here. You never know how long that product market fit will last.
Yeah, I think my biggest learning from having these conversations and talking about product market fit is I think the focus is like 95% on product market fit. And I think actually the focus should be on the market. And that's something, like you said, can be changing, that you can control less, that you need to be aware of. And I think, and not necessarily from a competitor perspective, but just the landscape, like you said, the main platform that your distribution channel is on, like GitHub, and popularity and just different changing forces like that. So I think that's really, for founders and folks running companies to be aware of the market, not just your product that you're building for your customers. So I think that's a dynamic that I don't think is discussed as much as it probably should be.
Yeah, never take it for granted either, right? Like I've seen other companies outside of ZenHub have product market fit, kind of ignore the market changes, say, hey, we already have product market fit, and then start to decline. And I've seen some of these businesses not make it because of that. So it's something I'm always kind of watching and questioning, because you never know. And it can help you out too. Markets can change and things can accelerate as well. So
100%.
It's not all doom and gloom, right?
Totally. Awesome. Yeah, helpful insights there. So jump into the next question quickly here. Would love to hear kind of where you're at today as a company and where you see ZenHub going. So you mentioned these market dynamics. You mentioned, starting with this incredible, 1,000 customers, a lot of awesome logos, smaller companies, like, getting the focus. Where's the company at today, and where do you see it going the next couple of years?
It's an interesting question, because I think like I have a unique view again joining the business. So I joined a company that very much had, think of it as like a plugin for GitHub that kind of brought in elements that GitHub was missing. And I think that market has shifted as GitHub as a platform is better and has improved, especially with the Microsoft acquisition. That's been a great thing for, I think, the users of GitHub and for GitHub. Where we're going as a business and what we've noticed is like, yes, the GitHub integration, being very close to the code, awesome. And everybody really values that. But what we're trying to do here is really make Agile more effortless and adopted by all, because we know that in order to build complex software, you're going to need some level of process. It's just that everybody shouldn't have to get a PhD in Agile, right? Like it's just too difficult. And so can we build those, can we give these building blocks very close to the code to technical teams so that we kind of create the guardrails of keeping people in line? And through that, we get a lot of interesting data. And from that data, we can easily point out insights of when things are going off track. And all of this information, I think, it sums into one thing that I'm most excited about, and it's a problem I've seen so many times with all the companies I've worked with, is that like we never really know the progress of most of our most important software projects.
Totally.
Like, kind of like random PowerPoint slide that someone put together, or you got to go search in Jira for something. We're taking all this data and we're putting it into a real-time view that anyone in the business can look at. And I think we'll be the central collaboration space for all things software. And when software is the center of the modern business, we think that we're in a very interesting spot. As far as the growth is concerned, we went from that 1,000, we're at 2,500 customers today. All of this has been very organic. I'd say that like almost to a fault. Like we just established our marketing team in the last months. And so like every day we kind of wake up and there's new people that have paid us money, which is awesome. But we really focused as far as like the growth on how do we focus on taking care of our customers. So really building out customer success and proving we can expand within companies. Now we're focused on marketing, and then we're going to layer sales on top of that as we continue this journey.
That's super interesting. The way you're describing, I think the value in terms of the software development insights into where things are at, the collaboration honestly sounds so similar to like replace, software development with sales. And it's so similar to Accord. And I think, thinking a lot about other super successful companies that have done something similar, like Figma with design sounds very similar to what you're talking about with software development and product board with product. And I think ZenHub, for the insights and the collaboration, all that kind of stuff, I think it's such a key, huge value to unlock. And it's really cool to kind of see, totally get it outside of like never done software development myself, but one of the stakeholders, like, where is it? It's like the same thing as like, a director or VP of sales being like, where's this deal? And it's like, you rely on the slide or the quick update. And you don't actually know what it is. How is it progressing? Yeah.
I still am amazed, like even these examples, right? Like only a certain part of the company have access to these products. Yeah. Like, why is that the case? Like if the product is the center of your business as a software company, then anyone should be able to get a real-time view into things that they care about. Totally. And like, good luck trying to get into Jira or some of these other and just kind of, some companies are really organized, but others just, it's not the priority. So how do we make that more automated as well? So that's another thing we spend a lot of time on too, is like finding the annoyances through automation.
And I think the hardest thing in that realm of software and where the impact really is in that behavioral change you're talking about, and like giving people the guardrails. Yes, you shouldn't have to be the best, most organized, whatever, and agile or whatever you're doing. You should be able to use a software that up levels everyone to 100%.
But the one thing I'll call out though too is like the reason I use the term building blocks is everybody's process is different, right? And so there is a level of like, everyone says they're doing agile, but everybody's process is like a little bit different. And so if you kind of come in with the super opinionated tool and say, hey, this is the only way to do it, you won't get as much adoption. There might be real reasons for that. And so those building blocks around those agile experiences are really important so that people adopt them. And then, like you said, kind of guardrail through the process. And the ultimate goal here is like, we wouldn't even be here if we were building software on time, on budget, and the right thing for users. I mean, things are just consistently behind in almost all businesses that we work with, small and large. And so if we can help solve that, we think we're doing some good in the universe, I guess.
Totally. I love it, and definitely resonates. I think probably resonates with every other startup out there, whether you're seed or Series A or later. But last question to wrap things up: if you could go back to day one, joining the team for these last 3 years, and give yourself one piece of advice, what would that be?
Yeah, I think it kind of comes back to the stuff we were talking about at the beginning, where it's like, ask the tough questions again, and don't take the answer that you get immediately as the answer, right? I think we have a way of, as humans, of convincing ourselves that the thing is what it is. Make sure you're asking the tough questions to get the data. And the reason I say this is when I first joined and I looked at the customer list, I said, this is great. They don't have sales. What we need to do is build an enterprise sales team. And that's what's going to help really grow this. And so we added a few sales folks, and we improved the pitch, and we started having high-level conversations, and we were actually closing pretty large deals. But the adoption from like the main users of the product, the developer, was very low. And people were like, yeah, just don't, this feels like it's being pushed down on me, and it's there. And I was going against the natural kind of motion of the business, because I was kind of focused on the things that I knew best. And I kind of unwilling to kind of ask the tough questions on like the basics. It's so funny. You join this company and you think you understand when you join a company exactly what's going on. And then the market, like I said, shifts and changes. And so I think like that's been my biggest learning, is just like asking the tough questions. And we even do it again now. We're going through this process again where we're asking tough questions, not because anything's going wrong or bad. It's because we're trying to predict, kind of the future of where the market is going. And so I think we just get too complacent and too comfortable because like startups are exhausting sometimes. And you're like, I've already figured that out.
Yeah.
Like, move on to this next
You
thing.
can only work on so many things. Yeah.
Exactly. You got to be, I think, asking the basics all the time. Is your ICP still your ICP, right? Like, is this still the right motion? Like, are customers still enjoying this product? Like, what's changed with the market? And I think you can do it in ways that, if you're proactive, help you make some really tough decisions.
Totally. I think my big takeaway from what you just shared is, yes, you have your unique insights and past experience and intuition, which is super important to startups when there is so little data and you need to move quickly. But also, how do you balance that and the assuredness and making quick decisions and being decisive and a leader with second guessing those things, right? It's such a tough balance of those two kind of opposing forces, right?
I mean, like, gut is still important, right? Like, you wouldn't be in the role that you're in if you didn't have some level of gut. So it can't be all data driven. It can't be there. But I'm always very hesitant around people that said, look, I've done this exactly 3 times. I'm going to come in and I'm going to place it into your business.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying every business is a unique snowflake, but like, do ask the questions because it's going to be a variant probably of what it is. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, appreciate the insights. Hopefully this is super helpful for other folks out there that are in similar positions, early stage, and, either had some traction, need to figure it out again. A lot of good questions I think you brought up. So appreciate the time. And how should folks get in touch with you if they want to kind of chat more?
Yeah. I mean, just reach out on LinkedIn. I'm there. If you have any specific questions on that. And then Tyler at ZenHub. That's my email. So let me know if you're a GitHub user and you're looking to improve process. We're happy to help as well.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, thanks again for the time.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me. Take care.
You're listening to Accords from Vendorship to Partnership, where we dive into building startups, signing customers, and scaling collaborative, repeatable sales processes. For more episodes like this, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for listening.